What's your favorite summertime activity? Hanging out at the beach? Camping in the mountains? Repairing the AC with duct tape and an ice block? No matter what it is, it's easy to find yourself over sweating and underhydrated. Today I'll show you how to protect yourself from over dehydration with the right fluids, foods, and science-backed strategies. If you're into science-based fitness facts that you can actually use, like and subscribe for more. Hi, I'm Dr. Jake. In this video, I'll answer all your questions about water, electrolytes, and how to stay hydrated, particularly in hot weather. Drop your favorite electrolyte replacement option in the comments and stick around to see how it compares to the others. So why does hydration matter? Your body's about 60% water. It keeps your cells working, regulates temperature, flushes out waste, and keeps your brain functioning. But in the heat, whether you're mowing your lawn, running a 5K, or stuck in a heat wave without AC, you sweat. And if you live in a dry climate, sweat evaporates quickly, so you may be losing more water than you think. And if you live in a humid environment, you literally see dehydration dripping from your forehead. Sweating is your body's way of cooling you down. But at the same time, you're losing water and key electrolytes like sodium, potassium, chloride, magnesium, and calcium. Just mild dehydration at 2 to 3% of your body weight can trigger symptoms like thirst and fatigue. If it persists, you get dizziness, headaches, muscle cramps, nausea, and a hard time concentrating. So, how much water do you really need? Thirst is an imperfect indicator of hydration. For some, by the time they're thirsty, they're already on their way to dehydration. For others, thirst is an okay indicator. But either way, when it's hot outside, everyone needs to be more intentional about their hydration. Well, that's easy, 8 cups a day. No, that's just a guesstimate. It turns out to be closer to 13 cups for men and 9 cups for women. But it varies based on body size and needs to be increased during heat waves. A more individualized approach is 1/2 to 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight per day. In other words, at least 75 ounces for someone who weighs 150 pounds. Just don't exceed 48 ounces per hour. Too much can dilute your blood and cause serious problems I'll cover later. The key is to be aware of indicators of dehydration. One of the best and simplest is the urine color test. If it's dark yellow, you're dehydrated. Pale yellow, you're good to go. Literally. If you like what you heard so far, click and subscribe. But water's only half the issue. Let's talk electrolytes. Electrolytes are like roadies on tour, constantly working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly. They allow your cells to communicate, help control water levels, and keep your body pH balanced. For example, when electrolytes move in and out of nerve and muscle cells, electrical signals are sent throughout the body to keep it functioning and you exercising. Plus, their concentration in and around cells helps water move in and out, keeping the cells healthy. When electrolyte levels get out of balance, muscle contraction becomes impaired and sporadic, and the cells don't function well as they shrink like raisins or swell up like a pimple on prom night. If the levels aren't corrected, you risk not only dizziness, headaches, and muscle cramps, but irregular heartbeats and possibly even seizures. But just because it's hot outside doesn't necessarily mean you need extra electrolytes. After all, you do get some from your diet, which I'll cover later. But good indicators that you need extra electrolytes are if you've been sweating over 60 to 90 minutes, you're experiencing cramping, dizziness, or fatigue in the heat, you're a salty sweater, indicated by salt rings or residue on your clothing or skin, or you're cramping and dizzy despite drinking water. So what if you do need electrolytes? Which is best? Gatorade, Pedialyte, or a fizzy lifting drink? Let's break it down. First off, don't forget water's your go-to in most cases. It's calorie-free and the foundation of any effective hydration strategy. Second, and you likely already know, rehydration beverages differ significantly in their electrolyte concentrations. For example, Pedialyte is higher in sodium and potassium with less sugar than sports drinks. This makes it more effective for rehydration after severe electrolyte loss, particularly in cases of diarrhea, vomiting, or prolonged heat exposure. But Gatorade, the classic sports drink designed for athletes, is better for hydration and exercise performance, hence the sugar, particularly during endurance events or when working in hot weather. Next, there are electrolyte waters that have little or no sugar, like Gatorlyte Zero or Powerade Zero. But check the label to make sure they have enough electrolytes to matter. Next up, coconut water, which used to only be available to castaways on uncharted desert isles. It's high in potassium and magnesium and naturally low in sugar, if unflavored. But it's low in sodium, making it not ideal for high sweat rate conditions, but good for rehydration after yoga, walking, or light sweating activities. Consider mixing half coconut water, half Pedialyte. That gives you potassium and sodium without the high sugar load. Another option are electrolyte powders, tablets, or drops. Powders are really convenient when trying to match for different levels of dehydration. Examples are liquid IV and LMNT, which are often sugar-free with extra sodium. With tablets and drops, you simply add them to water, making them a good option for when you're on the go. Just know that some of these electrolyte options are designed for endurance athletes, outdoor outdoor workers, and salty sweaters who lose a lot of sodium. If you haven't been sweating for more than 60 minutes or recovering from a dehydrating illness, you don't need 1,000 milligrams of sodium in your electrolyte drink. Lot's wife drank way too much Pedialyte, and look what happened to her. And here's some other often overlooked options. Low-fat milk. It contains a nice balance of potassium, calcium, plus protein. It's an okay post-recovery workout drink, but it's low in sodium, a key electrolyte you'll need to get from other sources. Then there's fruit juices like watermelon, orange, tart cherry, and tomato. These are high in potassium and antioxidants, but can also be low in sodium. If needed, you can always add a pinch of salt to make them an effective electrolyte drink. Smoothies are a delicious way to mix a variety of electrolyte-rich foods into one simple concoction, especially good after workouts. However, they can be high in calories and sugars, too much for your stomach to handle during exercise. If you're into DIY, here's an electrolyte replacement recipe. What about pickle juice? That's more for athletes looking to avoid muscle cramps, which I'll cover in my next video. This table is a summary of what to drink and when. The key is to match your water and electrolyte loss and personal preferences to an electrolyte drink that'll fill that loss. The more you sweat in a day and the more dehydrated you become, the more you should go with a drink high in sodium. If you want more science-based fitness tips, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget the sodium and other electrolytes you get in the food you eat. For example, good sources of potassium are bananas, avocados, potatoes, and beans. Sodium, salted nuts, soups, and pickles. If you want more magnesium, turn to leafy greens, seeds, and whole grains. At the same time, fruits and veggies are high in water. Foods that are 90 to 95% water include watermelon, cucumbers, strawberries, celery, and lettuce. So it makes sense to include your diet into your water and electrolyte replacement plan. My favorite electrolyte replacement food? Corn and tomatoes, of course. And by that, I mean chips and salsa. What's yours? Let me know in the comments. Are there things to avoid? Energy drinks for sure. They're high in caffeine, often high in sugar, and just aren't designed or recommended for rehydration. The same goes for soft drinks. Caffeine doesn't dehydrate you like some people think. In fact, you keep most of the water that comes with it, just not quite as much as the same drink that's caffeine-free. Some studies, but not all, show that caffeine can negatively impact body temperature. It seems caffeine won't get in the way of hydrating or staying cool, but it won't help either. Too many electrolytes, especially through supplements and sports drinks, can be harmful, particularly if your body isn't losing large amounts through sweat, illness, or fluid loss. Of course, too much sodium causes high blood pressure, hyperkalemia or high potassium levels lead to irregular heartbeats, and elevated levels of other electrolytes cause muscle, mental, and digestive problems. So you're more likely to overload on electrolytes if you take multiple electrolyte supplements per day, drink liters of sports drinks per day without heavy sweating, have liver, kidney, or heart disease, and are on medications that affect electrolyte balance, like ACE inhibitors and diuretics. Even too much water can be dangerous. Drinking large amounts, say 3 to 4 liters per hour, can cause hyponatremia, a condition where all that water dilutes the sodium in your blood, causing your brain to swell, leading to nausea, headaches, dizziness, confusion, and in some cases, death. Yes, electrolytes and of course water are essential, but more is not always better. Add electrolytes only when needed and in balance with adequate but not excessive water. Here's some people who should be extra cautious in the heat. Older people who have reduced thirst and kidney function, making dehydration sneakier. They should be encouraged to take frequent drinks of water, even if they're not thirsty. Children can dehydrate faster than adults, so offer them water every 10 to 15 minutes while playing. Hydration's made easier for these people and you by always carrying a refillable bottle. Use a hydration tracking app. Flavor water with lemon, mint, or berries. Schedule hydration breaks. And drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Then add in electrolytes as needed. Others at risk include outdoor workers, who may lose up to 10 liters of water per day. And of course, athletes. I'll cover staying hydrated during exercise in hot weather in my next video. The bottom line is dehydration is tricky for everyone. First, there's not one formula or guideline that fits everybody. Second, we want to prevent it, yet we bring it on when we work, exercise, or can't escape the heat. So remember, water's your base. Drink it regularly, even if you're not thirsty. And if you notice these things, you want to up your water and electrolyte intake. In that case, consider using electrolyte replacement beverages. Gatorade is great for endurance exercise and recovery from workouts in the heat. Pedialyte, best when severely dehydrated. Coconut water, good potassium boost, not enough sodium. And don't forget about eating hydrating foods like melons, cucumbers, and leafy greens. Along the way, recognize the signs of dehydration and overhydration and act accordingly. Then adjust your water and electrolyte intake as your activity level and the weather changes. While the crowds at the national park and beach may ruin your day, don't let dehydration ruin your summer. Follow these tips for an endless summer. If you like what you heard, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. And as always, my answers come from peer-reviewed research.